Hello again, everyone. I am Ranger Richard, the Sky Ranger at Gateway Arch National Park. For the next 15 minutes or so, I am once again going to take you on a tour of the September night sky using a program called Stellarium, which gives a realistic view. When you go out and see the stars, be sure to put on some bug spray at this time of year and try to find a dark spot away from nearby city lights. Everything I'll be talking to you about is bright enough to be seen pretty easily with your unaided eyes, but if you have a pair of binoculars, it can't hurt to bring them along. If you have a lot of glare from lights or the moon is pretty bright in the sky, the binoculars can help you spot some dimmer stars. So, we will now switch over to the Stellarium view.
As usual, we will start in the west, just as the sky is getting dark. This is because Earth's rotation will soon cause anything in the west to sink lower and soon set. If you could find a spot without a lot of trees or buildings to the west, it will be very easy to spot brilliant Venus as soon as 20 or 30 minutes after sunset. The view right now is set for September 9th, and you can see that the moon is nearby. Keep in mind that this simulation causes bright objects to appear larger. The real Venus will appear as a very bright star in the sky. Look closely and you can see the outline of the unlit part of the moon. This is due to sunlight reflecting off the moon onto the Earth and then back again. Binoculars show this Earth shine even better. With each night, the moon moves to the upper left and appears to thicken due to its orbit around the Earth. The next bright star visible above and to the right of Venus is Arcturus. It looks a bit yellowish-orange if you look closely. We'll now set the time a little later to make the sky darker. As we do this, you will see Venus setting in the west, as we talked about before. As we look very high in the sky, in the early evenings of September, you can see the three stars of the summer triangle. Brightest of the three is Vega, which is a noticeably bluish color if you look closely due to its hot temperature. To the left is Altair, not as bright, but still what we call a first magnitude star. Altair is one of the nearest stars to us at a distance of 16 light years, while Vega is still close at 25 light years away. The third and brightest member of the summer triangle is Deneb, almost straight up in the sky. Although it appears to us as the dimmest of the three, it's almost unimaginably far away. Deneb's light takes about 2,600 years to get to your eyes according to current estimates. If you look to the lower left of Deneb, you get to the middle of a line of three stars that we can see here. And then if you continue to the lower left to this star here, you have a pretty good northern cross in the sky, or the stick figure of a bird, Cygnus the swan, in fact. Let's bring up our constellation art to see the figures that the ancients imagined in the sky. We have talked in previous months about the mythology of Cygnus and Lyra the harp, but not yet about Aquila the eagle. Although it's harder to make out the eagle than the swan, on a clear dark night, or perhaps if you bring out the binoculars to spot the dimmer stars, you could see Altair and the stars around it making up the head, and then the outstretched wings and the tail of the eagle, as you can see here. The celestial eagle appears in many stories in mythology. Zeus, the king of the gods, kept Aquila as his pet eagle to carry his thunderbolts in his beak. Zeus once sent the eagle to swoop down and capture the shepherd boy Ganymede to serve as cupbearer to the gods, and maybe more. As we go back to our more realistic view, you can still find the celestial scorpion and archer low in the southwestern sky. Scorpius's curved figure looks pretty graceful, while Sagittarius looks more like a teapot in the sky, complete with spout, lid, and handle. If you can get to a dark enough location, you could see that when we look in this direction of the sky, we are looking at the center of our Milky Way galaxy, visible as a band of light across the sky. This is the best time of year to see the Milky Way in the evening sky, but you have to get to that dark spot. Farther to the left in the southeastern sky are our other two planets. Jupiter is much the brighter of the two, second only to Venus in brightness in the sky. Jupiter's 4 largest moons and some cloud bands in its atmosphere can be seen in a telescope. The moons are similar to Earth's moon in size, and you could see them with your unaided eye if they weren't so close to Jupiter. You may see some of Jupiter's 4 largest moons in a good pair of binoculars if you hold them steady. The next bright star-like object to Jupiter's right is Saturn. To me, Saturn's steady, somewhat yellowish color gives the impression of great distance, and indeed it is about twice as far as Jupiter, almost 1 billion miles away. As seen in a good telescope, Saturn's rings are a beautiful sight, as you can see here. There we go, Saturn and its rings. If you'd like to see the real Jupiter, Saturn, and the Moon in a telescope and not virtually here, come to one of our last 2 telescope viewing sessions at Gateway Arch National Park. If skies are clear enough, volunteers from the St. Louis Astronomical Society will be out with telescopes on our West Entrance Plaza from 7 to 8:30 p.m. on 2 Saturday evenings, September 18th and October 16th. Now, Jupiter, Saturn, and the Moon look just fine as seen from the Gateway Arch, but I have to admit that we do have more than our share of light pollution given our location right in the middle of downtown St. Louis. In fact, light pollution is a big enemy not just to stargazers, but it can have a very bad effect on birds and other forms of wildlife. Lights Out Heartland is a coalition of organizations in our area that work to reduce light pollution. We have a special online program that will be streamed on Facebook Live at 6:30 p.m. on September 18th to discuss what the St. Louis Zoo, Dark Sky, Missouri, as well as the National Park Service are doing to address this important issue. If you would like to attend the telescope viewing at the Arch that evening, you could watch the video of the Lights Out Heartland program at this page, www.facebook.com/STLastro, beginning on the 19th. As we return to our sky view, here is the sky view. You can see that the moon will be passing through the area of Jupiter just after the middle of the month, as we see here. The moon on the night of the 16th, just below Saturn, closer to Jupiter on the 17th, and then continuing on as the moon orbits the Earth. Finally, we'll shift our gaze to the north. You will need a spot with a fairly open view to the northwest to spot the Big Dipper. These 4 stars form the bowl, and these 3 the handle. You could follow the arc of the Big Dipper's handle to the bright star Arcturus. Like this here. The 2 stars in the bowl that are farthest from the handle point to the North Star Polaris. The stars of the Little Dipper extend to the left, but they're much harder to see from near the city. Try with binoculars. These 2 on the end are fairly bright, and they're known as the Guardians of the Pole. If your sky is blocked too much to spot the Big Dipper, you could also use this group of stars to find north. It is Cassiopeia, and it looks like a W or an M on its side. As the hours pass, watch how Earth's rotation causes all of the stars to wheel around the North Star, and how Cassiopeia eventually appears overhead while the Big Dipper reaches its low point and then starts to rise again, right now around midnight in the middle of September. Eventually, dawn will start to light up the sky, and you'll notice how the Big Dipper and Cassiopeia have almost changed places since the early evening. Dawn, time flies when you're having fun stargazing. It's time to end this tour of the sky and get some sleep. See you next month.